going on, guys? This is Aldo, or Swiss, from Team Notachi, and we're planning on making these videos just based on questions that many newcomers and even some experienced drivers have based on tuning. So I hope that these videos really can share some insight. It's not only going to just be me. You might hear from Joel, Pete, maybe even JD. So it's going to be a little bit more diverse, and hopefully we could get real good, concise, good, clean answers, and get straight to the point into tuning and how to tune for your track, and how to maximize your car's efficiency. So most people ask the question of what FDR should I use, but honestly it's just all due to your motor turn and your preferences. So Yokomo has a great blog as well on FDR and gear ratio, and that's a really good page to look at when you're looking for reference. I'll put that in the description below. And the most common brushless motor turns used in rear-wheel drive drifting is going to be 10.5, 13.5. You might even see 8.59, and the very rare you will see 17.5, which is very, very torquey, and honestly I really wouldn't recommend it. But going from a very simple standpoint, just to give out numbers, any P-tile polished concrete, you're going to be running 10 to maybe 13 on your FDR. And for maybe asphalt or rougher surface, you're going to be running 10, maybe even 8, depending on what motor you're using, 13.5 or even a 10.5. And for carpet, since it's such a heavy friction surface, you might even want to run a 10.5 or even an 8.5 just for that extra wheel speed. Maybe you don't need torque, as that surface is very grippy, so you're going to be wanting a 7 or even 9 FDR. And I mean, these are just simple references, but however you set up your car is going to be due to your preference and your personal feel and how you want to drive, as an FDR can be changed virtually by the ESC tune, and also how you drive with your throttle expo. To calculate FDR, that's pretty frequently asked question, as it's just a simple numerical value, and you could just change pinion and maybe do it mentally. But to get the math is very simple. You know, your FDR is just the spur gear divided by the pinion gear times the diff, or even bevel gear if you have a different chassis platform, and that's about it. So for any Yokomo, which is YD2, even the YD2Z, it's very simple. It's going to be a 2.6 transmission ratio. As a very simple example, if you're running a stock 84 spur with a 20 pinion, that is going to be 84 divided by 20 times 2.6, which is the internal ratio. You're going to get 10.92, and this kind of fits right into that really good range of plastic tile, you know, that P-tile, maybe even polished concrete, as that's going to be working for 10.5, even 13.5 motors. On most normal YD chassis, the rear gearing is pretty much fixed at 2.6. It doesn't really matter if you have a gear diff, ball diff, or even a spool, but on other chassis, you're going to have to really pay attention about that. So for instance, on a Yokomo DP, or even any wrap-up chassis that uses Yokomo DP parts, the differential is the bevel gear. And so you actually have to count the number of teeth. I believe in this case this is 40. And then divide that by the number of your drive bevel gear, which in most cases I believe is 14 or 16. And so stock is going to be 2.35 on a Yokomo DP or a wrap-up chassis, and it's very similar to the D-like, as they use very similar differentials, and I believe you could even swap them. So stuff like that, you got to really pay attention. You got to notice about that. In general, smaller pinion will have quicker response from your throttle control. A larger pinion will be slower to respond. So if you're struggling with the tight turns on the track or too fast on the track, maybe try going smaller in pinion. if you're not able to really make that big sweeper on the track, or you're too slow on the track on that sweeper, maybe try going with a larger pinion. So the load on the motor will be different with each FDR. So the lower the FDR, the less load on the motor, and you'll get a longer runtime on the same battery. But the higher the FDR, the more load on the motor, and it's going to generate more heat on the ESC and the motor itself. And each motor has their own unique characteristics, like in power and torque. And a higher motor turn, like 13.5 or even 17.5, will have more torque but less RPM compared to an 8.5 or even a 9.5 motor, which doesn't really have a lot of torque, but it does have a lot more power and a higher RPM range. And some people may think, why do I need torque? Well, it's needed in drifting, but higher torque motors like a 17.5 will allow a high FDR in the 5 to 6 range, but that's going to maximize the torque in the lower RPM ranges. And so the same RPM at the wheel can be achieved with low FDR on a lower turn motor, but the feel will be different. And each motor does have its sweet spot, so that's why the basis of tuning your FDR is really unique toward the person, as you're kind of balancing gearing with the motor and your ESC tune, which we'll get into later. But it really is just about how you want the chassis to feel on the track in certain places on the track. Maybe the hairpin, the sweeper, maybe you have hairpins back to back, you want to really maximize exit speed, you could really tune your gearing just for that. So I know this video wasn't really special in a form of we're getting really hands-on, I'm showing you the shocks, I'm showing you the motor. It wasn't really supposed to be like that. We're just going to start out easy, simple, something that is very comprehensible and applicable. You could apply it on the track. You could watch this video right now and maybe go, hey, you know what, I'm going to change out my pinion to a 20 if you're running from 25, and let's see how that feels. Maybe it's going to feel a little bit longer, it's going to feel a little bit torquier, but that's the whole basis on these videos. That is very simple, that is very easy to understand, and sooner or later we will be getting into some hardcore stuff like, why are my camber links angled downward, why are they angled upwards? We're going to get into roll center, we're going to get into shock tunings, angle ratios, simple stuff, weight placement, weight bias, motor torque. All that stuff is to come, but we're just going to keep it real simple. I know maybe some advanced drivers are going to say, don't worry about gearing, just put on an 88, put on an 18. It's really much more than that. I mean, most people neglect tuning for what it is and the knowledge that it can give you and how wide it can go in different RC ranges, right? I mean, I could go straight into buggy racing in a week and I could understand gearing almost instantly with the motors that they give me, because in RC drift the little things count. So thank you for watching, and I really hope this video gave a little bit more insight, a little bit of help on gearing as the first step of getting into tuning for RC drift. So the next one, I got to figure it out and I got to talk to the team, but obviously right now I think as a starter, gearing is going to be your most important, and that's going to be how the car is going to be feeling. And as an overall, that's just where I started, where I recommend all the beginners and newbie starts, and where everyone revisits, as it could really affect how you drive. So once again, thank you for watching. Give a like, give a subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.